Hi YouTube! Welcome back to my random thoughts on Thursdays. This week I'm going to be doing the YouTube Survey 2013 from Narimon. Alright, so it's that time of year again where Narimon puts out his annual YouTube survey, and I thought this week, for lack of better ideas, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So it's basically a tag video where I answer a bunch of questions, and I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So question number 1 is, what is my biggest fear? I would have to say my biggest fear is of being homeless. I have been very close to homelessness on several occasions, and it absolutely terrifies me, which is one of the reasons why I've worked really, really hard to get to a place in my life where the chance of my becoming homeless is less of a problem. There were a number of times when I was living on my own where I struggled to put together enough money to pay my rent, and I actually had to borrow from friends in order to do that. And that was very scary. And as I've said in a number of different videos, that my family was actually quite poor when I was growing up. Not abject poverty, living, in the dirt or anything like that, but definitely poor enough where we also struggled sometimes, where it was a choice between paying the rent or buying food. And there were a couple of nights I do remember going to bed hungry because we had no food in the house. So that is my biggest fear, is ever getting to a financial position where I ended up homeless. Just absolutely terrifies me. I won't even go camping. I just don't even go there with me. I need a roof over my head, or I'm not in a good place. Number 2, how did I find out that Santa Claus wasn't real? To be perfectly honest, I don't think I ever believed in Santa Claus. My grandmother tried very, very hard to make me believe in Santa Claus when I was little. Our apartment, we lived in basically it was a house with 2 apartments. The landlady lived downstairs and we lived in the apartment upstairs. And our front windows looked out over the roof of her sunroom. So my grandmother would actually figure out a way of drawing sled tracks and reindeer tracks in the snow on that roof, right? I didn't buy it. I was impressed by her effort, I remember that, but I guess I figured out because there were Santa Clauses like everywhere, and of course my grandmother was like, oh well, those are just Santa's helpers. But then I thought, well, but there's so many houses and not everyone has chimneys, and I don't know, I guess I just kind of put 2 and 2 together very quickly, and I figured out that he's not real. Keep in mind that I'm also an atheist, and I was a skeptic even as a child, and I never believed, and I got kicked out of Sunday school, so that kind of all goes together. Why would I believe in a Santa Claus if I also didn't believe in other higher powers? So there's that. Number 3, what's the best idea I've ever had? I don't know. The one that I have gotten the most comments on from people was back when I still had my job at the tech company that I used to work for 11 years. And I started deciding, instead of going away on vacation and spending money, I would use my vacation time and take every Friday off throughout the summertime. And other people were like, wow, why didn't we think of that? That's a great idea. So I guess that's one of the best ideas I've ever had. I don't know if it's the best idea, but it's the only thing I can think of in terms of like feedback I've gotten from other people. So there you have it. Number 4, the most embarrassing thing my parents have ever done. Well, I never knew my dad. My mom embarrassed herself an awful lot just because she was an alcoholic. So I can't pinpoint a single one. I mean, the one incident I remember myself personally feeling the most embarrassed about was she took me to a carnival that was happening. And, I was looking forward to it, but she decided all the rides were lame and she'd rather spend the time in a beer garden. And I was, 10, so I was too young to kind of just wander around by myself. So I had to sit in the beer garden with her. So she's sitting there drinking her beer, whatever she was drinking, and started chatting with some other people at the same table. And she was getting drunker and drunker, and you know, here I am, I'm sitting here, I had a watch on, I was looking at the time, and it was getting later and later, and I was like, look, I want to go home. And what happened next was hilarious, because, well, hilarious in retrospect, but terrifying at the time. The folks that she'd been drinking with said, oh, we can drive you home. This is after 4 hours of straight drinking from these people. I was terrified of getting in the car with them. I thought we would just walk home. We walked there. It was, I don't know, 6-8 blocks. It wasn't that far. We could have walked home. No, they were going to drive us. At least that's what they said. But it turns out that they lived off of Rush Street in Chicago, and they drove us to their apartment. I saw them drive right past where we lived, and I got hysterical because, and my mom shut me up and said, no, you know, it'll be fine. So we ended up at these people's apartment, and more drinking, and they started playing games and stuff. And I was in hysterics in the corner, crying my eyes out. I wanted to go home. I wanted to see my grandmother. I knew my grandmother was going to be worried to death about everything. Finally, at about, I don't know, 2 or 3 in the morning, they finally said, okay, you can use the phone. I was a good kid. I wasn't going to use somebody's phone without permission. And so I called my grandmother. She was in hysterics too. And I said, don't worry, we're fine. Mommy's over there drinking. We'll be home when we get home. I don't know where we are. I don't know how to get home by myself. And finally, I don't know, it was 4 or 5 in the morning. Keep in mind, I'm a 10-year-old kid, and I think I had school the next day. Or should have had school anyway. And you know, finally they drove us home. And at first my grandmother was, you know, a little mad at me, although she quickly realized that she was getting mad at the wrong person. And then she got really mad at my mom, but my mom just kind of walked right past her, ignored her, went up to her room, and passed out. So yeah, I don't know if that was it was definitely embarrassing, but it was terrifying, and it was just, I don't know, it was just, it's the one thing that sticks out in my mind the most from anything that my mom ever did. That's the worst of the incidences. Alright, moving on. Number 5. If I could have only a single career for the rest of my life, which career would that be? That would have to be the career I have now, since I now run my own web analytics consulting agency, and I've got a number of consultants now under contract, and I really like my job. I really like the project management that comes with managing other consultants, as well as actually doing the analytics work myself. And I've been growing my business slowly but steadily this year, and I just really enjoy it, to the point where I just don't think I'd ever want to do anything else. So there you have it. Web analytics consultant would be the one career I'd want to do the rest of my life. And my cat just said hi. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little Q&A, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and until next week, take care. Bye-bye.